Hey, if you've been growing frustrated with all the anger that you see in the world of politics, I have good news for you. Hillary Clinton just announced that Democrats will become civil as soon as they win control over Congress. I guess that means that being mean and nasty is the way to attract more voters and become a majority. In the meantime, you may have noticed in the recent confirmation hearings surrounding the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh that many people who agree with Hillary Clinton, they have all taken that occasion to question, and some of them actually reject, the idea, the premise that anyone accused of a wrongdoing should be presumed innocent until and unless they're proven guilty. Many people are saying that that very idea, the presumption of innocence until guilt is proven, which is the foundation of all American criminal law up until this point, that very foundation empowers bad people to do bad things and hurt others. Well, I have more good news. For those of you who want to abandon the idea that people should be presumed innocent until they're proven guilty, you're not alone. You have company. And there's actually an important precedent in prior American history. If you don't know about it, let me introduce you to the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act. See, in the middle part of the 19th century, this is just before the Civil War, Southern slave owners were incredibly frustrated, and in fact they were furious. They were, to use a word we like to use today, they were deeply offended. Because do you know what some people in the North were doing? Some Northerners were organizing and working together to form something that later became called the Underground Railroad, a system where they would actually help runaway slaves escape the Southern slave states. And Southerners demanded that a law be passed to help them recover runaway slaves. This was part of a big package of compromises in 1850, and what the South got was the Fugitive Slave Act. And here's why this is important. For those of you who think that people who are accused should be presumed to be guilty and that they have to prove their innocence, that was the whole foundation of that law. You have something in common with Southern slave owners. In that 1850 Fugitive Slave Act, what it said was, first of all, if a black man or black woman in a northern state, say Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or New York, where there was no longer any legalized slavery, if they were accused of being a runaway slave by some white Southern plantation owner, and you lived in that area, say you lived in a free state, where a black person has been accused of being a runaway slave, and you were just minding your own business, you just didn't get involved at all, guess what? You could be arrested and fined and imprisoned. The law said you had to assist with the capture of an accused runaway slave. It got even better. The law said that when a black man or woman was accused of being a runaway slave, there would then be, that person would be arrested, and then there would be a hearing by a federal commissioner or a judge. During that hearing, the accused, because the accused was presumed to be guilty, the accused could not testify on his behalf or her behalf. Think about that. In northern states where there was no slavery, think of a black man living in Boston, Massachusetts. Maybe he owns his own home, owns his own business. He's been voting in elections. He cannot testify and provide any of that evidence. He can't bring evidence to the hearing. He can't call any witnesses on his own behalf. But the accuser, because the presumption was the accuser, of course, must, if they have the courage to come forth and accuse someone, why, they must be telling the truth. So the accuser could testify, the accuser could bring forth evidence, and the accuser could call forth other witnesses to come and help bolster his case. And then to boot, the law stated that the judge who would sit and preside over this hearing, if the judge determined that the accused, the black man or woman being accused of being a runaway slave, if the accused was really a free person and the judge decided to let that person go free, the judge was paid $5. $5 for his service. If, on the other hand, the judge decided that this accused person really is a runaway slave and sent that person back to the plantation where the accuser has come from, the judge would be paid $10. That was according to the law. There was a built-in incentive for the judge to rule in favor of the accuser because the presumption was that the accused must be guilty. So for those of you who think the presumption of innocence and the burden of proving that someone's guilty, if that's a bad idea for you, then join the ranks of Southern slave owners in the 1850s who agree with you. They too think that the accused should be presumed guilty and that the accuser must be telling the truth, because how else would they have the courage to come forth and make such accusations?